Oh, keep going. Ah. All right, new credits.
Some fancy credits. I like them.
All right, so let's just jump right into your stream reel here, and then we got to do the giveaway in about 3 minutes. So I just want to show your stream reel here. So this is just some of the events I guess you've been producing over the years.
That's right.
Wow. You guys do cool stuff like that in Canada?
We do.
I'm joking. This is great. So you've done you've really gotten into the industry, and then so this is a lot of your live stuff, right?
This is everything here is shot live. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, Macklemore. I like him. Cool.
Do you want to hear a funny story about that event? About that Macklemore one?
Sure.
So Macklemore, you can actually see it in that clip. He's got like a full fur coat on.
Yeah.
And the event was there. It was for kids, and they were learning about, sustainable environment and stuff. So nobody knew he was going to wear that, and the producers weren't too happy about it. So they made him take it off for the second song, but they can't use that in any of their promo material now. I thought that was pretty funny.
Did I see Sunny Lorenza or something? I forget her name was. There's a lot of there's a lot of big names here.
That's the Epic Mealtime guys from Montreal.
Wow.
Edward Sharp and the Magnetic Zeros. Cody Simpson. I don't know, just some fun stuff, Cardinal Official.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you have been around the block more than once.
Around the block.
That is awesome. So much cool stuff. Let's run this giveaway because I am really excited, guys. I think there might be like 2 seconds left if you want to try to get in on this giveaway. It looks like there's 60 seconds left. So, oops. Let's cut to this. So yeah, there's 60 seconds left. If you go to PTZOptics.com/giveaway, you can get this. It's 3 months of the Kastio Secure 1,000-person plan. Is 1,000 as much as you can do, Michael? You can't really go much above that?
We can do more for enterprise clients, but 1,000 is generally, because these are secure streams, so generally we're not working with much more than that, but it is possible to do more. But that's our highest plan that we offer.
And then the white label package it allows them to have a whole bunch of more features, I'm sure.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it allows you to make it your own brand. We try to get out of the way and let you put your own logos in there, even your own URL. You can have it at your own domain.
Wow. So 20 seconds left. Earlier this week, this same giveaway was supposed to be for our brand new iPad control app and our YouTube API plugin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick 2 winners, and the winner number 1 will be actually, I might not be able to do that. We'll just do the Kastio giveaway, and then next week we'll do the... All right, so competition has ended. Woohoo! Oh my gosh, it's time for the giveaway.
And now it's time to announce this week's live technology giveaway winner. As noted in the contestant rules, all winners must be present in the chat room to claim the prize, or a new winner will be drawn. Drum roll, please.
Yay! We're going to draw the winner. And we have with us today Thomas Hendricks. Oh, Thomas literally wins every week. And I'm not even joking. He is the luckiest guy. I hope he wins. Normally what we do, just so you know, Michael, is we just kind of give him 2 or 3 minutes to say, hey, I'm here in the chat room. And now we can go back into the chat room and try to answer some of these questions that you've been getting. Have you been keeping an eye on the chat room at all?
I can't say I have, no.
Well, here's one for you. How many cameras do you usually use in an event?
So we never use less than 2, and we never usually use more than 6. So those big music events that you're seeing, that's about 6. For the smaller events, we usually use 2. We sort of never stream with 1.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I think it's something that I've told a lot. Thomas is here. And he says, let someone else get it because he doesn't have any live shows to use with that right now. So we'll go ahead. All right, we'll draw another winner. Repick the winner. Thomas always wins. So we're going to repick the winner. Gary Cruz. If Gary Cruz is out there, Gary Cruz is here. All right, so Gary's here. And I was just mentioning Michael. So Gary, congratulations. I will send your information to Michael, and he'll get you that prize. Really quickly, I wanted to show something. This is just something I wanted to show it during the pre-show, but I didn't have time. This is a brand new product from Hollyland. You'll see some videos on it next week. It's an HDMI transmitter that can go about, I don't know, a couple hundred feet. I don't know exactly all about it yet. But so what's the big deal? You see these all over the place, right, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely.
These are, they're not cheap. This is like $1,000, $2,000 or something. But this one has RS-232 pass-through. So you could technically have a PTZ camera in a giant stadium like you have, Michael, in some of those shows, and wirelessly get the video and joystick control of the camera hundreds of feet away.
That's very cool.
So that was something that, I get to, like I said, I get to play with a lot of these toys. Here's one here that of course, we'll be making some videos. We're going to be testing it thoroughly, and we're going to have Hollyland on the show at some point. But yeah, they just shipped it for me from China, and it's two of these: one transmitter, one receiver, HDMI video, and RS-232 control. Pretty cool.
What's the range on it?
I'm guessing like 300 feet. It's a lot. Okay. It's a lot. It's from Hollyland. Joe Husson's in the chat room. Joe, if you know the range on this thing, let us know, because now we've got questions for the chat room. Is the chat room part of YouTube Live, says Howard Klein. Yes, it is, the one you're seeing here. But, Michael, why don't you tell us a little bit about the chat room that you have built into your system?
So it's similar to YouTube in that sense, but it's just for the people who are attending the event, and it all happens in real time. So it's very similar.
And then, do you keep all the chats in the database so that they can be looked at later?
Yeah, absolutely. All the chats and questions and all the data for every single person that attended is all in the CSV file that the producer can download after.
Nice. Yeah, that was one of my main complaints with using YouTube, and Facebook does it differently. Facebook converts a live chat, if you will, into almost like a comment, like a live comment. And then it displays the comments live on video on demand, which I think is really cool. And I think they've done a good job with that. And I actually
find it really obnoxious.
Really?
Like one of the things I love about Facebook, if you look at some really popular event, is that you can sort the comments by most popular, most liked. But if it's a live event, you can't actually do that. It just forces you to go through in real time. It just brings them up. Whereas I might want to go through and say, hey, who had the most likes, or what was the most popular comment during the live stream? But I can't actually do that now. So I don't know. It's one of the things that frustrates me about Facebook Live.
Can you do that with YouTube?
Well, I don't know if you can do it with YouTube either. No, I mean, I don't think the sorting in YouTube comments is very good. When you look at something like Coachella that has like tens of thousands of comments, you can't really arrange them, which is seems like you should be able to.
Yeah, so that was what I was trying to fix with the plugin that I've created here. So like right now we've got this YouTube chat, and if we were Coachella or something, it would be impossible to read. There would just be like hundreds and hundreds of chats. So with this little thing we've built, this is using the vMix data sources and a JSON integration with the YouTube API, that we can basically say, all right, just take the chats that we want and put them in a queue and show them every 5 or 10 seconds. And that's what's going on there. You can see it, and it's not looping, so whatever the latest comment is, or at least maybe I think I did put it back on loop. I'm going to turn, I don't like loop because then it just loops through old comments that have been chatted earlier. But it just goes to the bottom of the list, and then just the next chat comes and the next chat comes. The other thing it does is it stores it in a database. And that was a lot of people like Tom Sinclair use Chatwing, and you have to pay for that, and it's kind of, I mean, honestly, Chatwing's like $15 a month. I mean, you could have your service for almost the same price as Chatwing. And anyway, so it stores it in a database so you can download it later. And I could imagine some of these larger organizations would take the data that you've got there and download it and say, okay, what were the keywords that people are talking about? What are the insights? Like when this show's over, every show, I write a blog post about the show. And one of the best things for me to do is to download the chat room and be like, okay, this question, this answer, this question, copy paste. This guy said this guy said that. It's like it's almost like live testimonial comments that you can use in your articles.
Yeah, I mean, in our case, we have live, or it's a private Q&A as well. So some people can ask anonymously if they want. I just saw a couple of questions coming in about pay-per-view. Yes, Kastio does do pay-per-view, absolutely. And it goes right to your Stripe account. So it's immediate payment. We don't hold the payment for 30 days like some vendors do. So it's automatically sent to your account, and it's just 2.9% plus 99 cents per ticket, and then the Stripe fees. So yes, it does do pay-per-view.
So now what happens if you're using something like Decast and Joe Huston saying no hockey? But what happens if you're using something like Decast and they want to take a cut of like, don't they take a cut of the pay-per-view?
So all you're doing in that scenario is basically embedding Decast into Kastio. So you're just essentially streaming through Decast into Kastio, but using Kastio to handle all the security.
So then you don't have to pay Decast per pay-per-view because Kastio's handling it.
Yep.
So is that like a value add in a way, because people are just paying the Stripe fees, they're not paying you a percentage?
So there is a percentage. It's 2.9%, but it's lower than a lot of vendors, just because of the processing that's involved in doing the transactions, and then we do pay you right away as well.
I really like the business model because it really allows you to, keep the cost low for the end user and do a really high, value add, all the value add features that people need without having to force them into paying for the streaming service.
Because we love all these streaming services. They're really great. I mean, they've spent a lot of time and money on infrastructure, but they just don't have as many features as we would need when we're doing a lot of our events. So that's really why we built the platform.
Joe's telling me that you can have up to 4 of these, which is pretty cool. And I'll have to do some testing because each one of these has its own DB9 output here. So that would basically mean I guess you need 4 joysticks, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, they might have. I mean, this is going to work, and there's SDI versions for this. But I think you might need a joystick per device. But the joysticks are really cheap; they're like $2.99. So, and you have a camera too, right, Michael?
PTZOptics camera?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have a joystick, or do you use the remote?
We use the remote. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Should we have a joystick?
Well, joysticks are nice. They're super intuitive. They also, you can also use the IP controller as well. There's like an IP control.
Right.
But yeah, joysticks are nice. Joysticks are good if you've got like 4 cameras and you just want to like daisy chain them together and be like cam 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that.
Just to jump in on on Trill's question here, there is no threshold for pay-per-view. If you make $1, then you'll get $1. We don't wait until there's a certain amount of money until you get paid. It goes right to your Stripe account, so it's an instant transaction. With respect to YouTube videos, yes, you can use them in Kastio, but they're not like super protected because they do have a link inside them that you can't remove because it's against YouTube's terms of service. So we don't recommend using YouTube, but it absolutely does work.
And there's someone in here, Howard, saying, I was thinking of using vMix along with Kastio. vMix would allow him to do the multiple cameras in the green screen, and then Kastio would add all of those additional features for, the private chats. One of the things I really like about it, but the thing I don't understand is why are you capping people off at 1,000 attendees with your basic plan?
Just because, well, it's really just the the business model in terms of, because it used to be viewer hours and then we moved it over. But 1,000 attendees is a lot when you're considering that every single one of those people is registering, or every single one of those people is requiring a password. So it's not so much. It's kind of like the opposite of public live streaming, where you're actually just looking at a select group. So we do a lot of these events, and it's like a small handful that's ever crossed 1,000 mark. Generally most events that we do is in the 200 to 400 people mark.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. It's just I'm just thinking like the power of live streaming is that like it could be 1 million, but I'm guessing 95% of people aren't going over 1,000. Just to answer a couple questions, Kaleidoscope's asking if we can do a quick review of Kastio, and then Events Unlimited is saying that's not cool. To control 4 cameras, you need 4 joysticks. Normally, you would need 1 joystick and you could have like hundreds of cameras daisy chained together. But the way this wireless transmitter is set up, I'm only seeing 1 DB9 connection off of it and then 1 DB9 connection on the transmitter. So I do think the way this is set up, you'd probably need, I'm guessing, you'd probably need 1 joystick per transmitter and receiver. But I'm going to be testing this next week, so I'm pretty sure you may need it, but I'm not sure. Tell us, can you give us, just for some of the people joining late, Michael, can you just one more time just give us a quick overview of Kastio?
Yeah, it's basically a complete protection secure platform for your live stream player. So if you're using a player like Decaster or Wowza Cloud, you can now add on the ability to have password protection and pay-per-view and secure whitelist emails, geo-block different locations, and then you can add in chat and Q&A and tweets and private questions coming in, and then that's the back end right there where you have moderator control and you see everything come in on one screen, all in real time, so you can manage your event. So it's basically like we like to refer to it as a live stream supercharger.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to explain it. And when you said that, I was like, live stream supercharger, what is this? And now I kind of get it. Like, it really makes it feel like, like for example, like I'm sure you do big concerts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is kind of what I would expect from like a Coachella or like a really nice event where it's branded. It's not just on YouTube. Like somebody might have had to pay. Like I would gladly pay $1 to watch a concert that I don't have to leave my home for.
Right.
Now, with that being said, though, I will say it's super nice to have like your smart TV to have it built in. Like YouTube and Facebook are they're like being built into the televisions now. This isn't. Yeah, I mean this isn't built in, but I will say this: you can cast it to your TV once you've logged in and authenticate it. Really?
So if you're on your laptop and you authenticate and you are given access, then you can then cast that stream right to your Chromecast or directly
from Chromecast. Yeah, actually I've done that before. Yeah. And I like having the chat room. And one of the things I've really enjoyed a couple times, not always, but sometimes the guys who are running the live show are watching the chat room. And when they watch the chat room, people from home are saying, hey, the audio needs to be turned up on the left or right. Or I've even had it be like, and I see you're doing this too, like you're pulling in the tweets and stuff like that. I was at a concert one time where the right speakers were way louder than the left speakers, and it was really like kind of odd, and the audio guys just kind of screwed up or something, and because they have to tweak it for every different band that goes on. And there was some guy on Twitter who was like, it's way too loud on the left of the stage, and literally they fixed it because the guy on Twitter was posting it. So, a lot of this chat room stuff and the social media integration, the people that are running the show and operating the cameras and the audio gear, somebody else has to be there, like an assistant or somebody has to be there listening to the crowd and the audience. And like, if the audience is saying, show us the drummer, show them the drummer,
Absolutely.
listen to your audience. And I think it's going to really change the way. And of course, I'd love to hear your side of this because you were out there doing these events, but is the audience are starting to take more? Because I know in our show it happens a lot. Like Mike Lotta, I can't tell you how many times, has told us, hey, your lower third has a spelling error, or hey, why don't you have a backlight on, or this, that, or the other thing. And our show is definitely audience driven a lot of the time. Is it changing the landscape? Are audiences becoming more, like, are they demanding more because they're there and people are listening to them?
I think the funny thing is audiences have always demanded more. They just haven't always had a platform to demand with. Mm-hmm. And I think smart producers are the ones that actually pay attention and the ones that watch and the ones that fix those speaker issues because the audience demands it. I think those are the ones that, are really going to, and we get it all the time too. I mean, we're doing, we're doing streams, like we'll be sort of cutting between multiple cameras, but the fans will be screaming at us, just focus on the star. We just want to see him on the close-up because maybe it's a boy band or somebody that they love. And so that will actually change our directing style. Then maybe we'll go, let's just hold them the close-up a little longer to give them what they want. Because, I mean, that's why we're doing the broadcast. It's for them. So we might as well give them what they want.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's great. And when you start, like, sometimes it's kind of like blood in the water and you're a shark. Like, you can smell it and you can taste it and things are changing around you. Like, it was the first time, I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago, I was watching a Ryan Adams concert and I wasn't at the show. And a lot of times, especially, here we are in festival season, the summertime, Coachella and All Good and all these different, I don't even know them all anymore. I don't even get Bonnaroo. All these hundreds of thousands of people go, and guys like me, I'd love to watch from home, but I've got 2 kids at home. I can't be going out camping in the middle of Tennessee or something. So I love watching from home, and the chat room and the user engagement for a guy like me, like, I would pay the amount of the ticket to get in just to watch from home because I want to feel like I'm there. I want to relive my glory days, if you will. And I want to as much as possible to feel like I'm there. And I was watching a Ryan Adams concert, and the people in the chat room made me feel like I was there. The guy who was telling the audio guys to turn up and down made me feel like I was there. And I realized that things are going to change quite quickly in short order. You're going to see, the audience that is watching from home is going to be bigger than the audience watching at the venue, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you kind of see that with some big events like Coachella that streamed on YouTube. So, I think with VR, the next VR wave, it's going to be really interesting as well. Because once headsets are ubiquitous and everybody has one in their home, and then you can put that on and you can be in the front row, I think that's going to start to change the game as well.
So, yeah, I mean, it's exciting, and you're really in the thick of it. One of the things I'm jealous of you about is that I don't really get out there enough. I'm usually I get to play with all the toys, but I don't get to use them in real life scenarios as much as I see you doing. So I am jealous there a little bit. That's really, really cool. Here's our YouTube subscribers and our Facebook subscribers. I wanted to, it doesn't really fit anyway. What else? What else do we have here? What are the big advantages of Kastio over YouTube? Is it just a subscription model? Says Kaleidoscope.
So they don't really compete. I kind of call them apples and oranges, but really when you're looking at it, YouTube is all about, how can I get as many viewers as I can? Whereas Kastio is more about how can I protect my stream so that only the people that I want to watch or the people that have registered are watching.
Yes. And I think, and I know you've probably had this happen a lot where a lot of people are saying, well, don't you just want as many viewers as possible? And isn't that the end goal? And for some people it is, and for me, I remember thinking that too, like, don't you just want to get as many as possible? But there's just so many reasons, and I've talked to a lot of people that want to protect their content. They want people, especially if you're trying to monetize it in any way. So, yeah. And
it's not just, monetization is huge, but like, let's just say you're doing a PTZOptics all hands meeting. You're not going to stream that onto Facebook. Like there's going to be some proprietary information in there. There's going to be some financial reports. You need to make sure that's protected. You need to make sure that every single person that's watching that, who they are. They have a registered PTZOptics email address. And that's the kind of thing that really Kastio does for you. So it gives you that control.
No, I'm a Ryan Adams fan, but I like Brian Adams too.
Yeah. He has that classic Wonderwall cover.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a bunch of his shows, and I mean it's ubiquitous. It's like whatever concert you want to watch from home, and I think someone was saying in the chat, can you get a concert experience from an iPad? And that is Michael's job, right, Michael? It's your job to deliver that, right? So let's talk about that for a second.
The thing is, to get the concert experience, you have to be at the concert. No one's ever going to dispute that. There's nothing like actually being at a live event. But the next best thing can be on your iPad, And I mean, the thing too is at the concert is like, maybe you're in the nosebleed section and you can only see the singer on the IMAX screen that's up on the scoreboard. Whereas, if you're watching from home, you're actually going to see those close-ups right there on your iPad. So that's obviously the extra value. It's the same as when you're watching football. You're going to get those close-ups that you only get on TV. So that's one of the benefits, I guess, of watching the stream versus actually being there. Shout out to Mike Latta as well. He's from Toronto too.
Yeah, no, he told me
I'd
actually.
like to see the Canadians on here.
we were chatting in the Facebook user group. By the way, anyone who's watching, it's a great place to kind of engage and chat after the show and everything. Facebook.com/group/PTZOptics pals. And a question came through, and I love the topic we're on now about trying to deliver an in-concert experience through an iPad, you know, get the amazing headphones, and a lot of it has to do with good cameras, good producing, good production, good audience engagement. All of those things are starting to really push the limits. But someone here said, can you do a limited viewing through YouTube and a full viewing through Kastio for the same live event? And my answer would be totally yes. And my question to you, Michael, is have you had people use that? Like, have you had people, what I've told a lot of people is live stream the red carpet, you know, live stream the pre-show, live stream the band before the headliner, you know, get people excited and then post a link. Hey, you want to watch the, you know, Bryan Adams? You know, you already watched the pre-show. Now it's time to pay $5 or whatever.
So just to give you some context around that, one of the things that you showed in the reel there was the Junos, which is kind of like the Canadian Grammys. And then we did that this year, and that's exactly what it was. So the big broadcaster had the main feed, and that went out to the network, to the TV networks. But we did all the ancillary streams. So we had a backstage stream where we talked to all the talent. We had a side stage stream to see them go on and off stage. We had that's the event right there. You know, we had that red carpet stream there, and we were the only ones that were live streaming from the red carpet. So that's sort of some of the backstage shots there. You see Sarah McLachlan. I mean, these are the things that you can do, that you can promote to your clients, you know, in order to get that value. And so what we're trying to do there in that case is we're trying to drive traffic to the website for the Junos. And you can successfully do that with the live streaming. And in that particular case, we had, you know, 5 YouTube channels going at the same time so people could switch between them. But that's really where the extra value is. And then, of course, you see the live chats. And it's funny, like they actually follow the artist depending on where they are in the show. So they know when they're about to go on, they're probably backstage. Let me look at the backstage camera. And then they just came off the stage. Now let me look at the backstage camera. And now they're going to go for the interview. Now let me look at the, you know, the interview set. And so you can actually kind of follow your favorite artists all the way through the chain. And it kind of opens up this whole new world that people never had access to. And now that they do because of live streaming. I mean, it's such an amazing technology. And, you know, and the fact now, I mean, I remember back when it was, you always had to struggle with, yes, there's going to be some buffering, but, you know, we'll get the bit rate down as low as possible. And, you know, it should be okay if they have a fast connection. And now those days are gone. You know, now it's like we can pump out that 1080 stream at, you know, 4 or 5 megabytes a second, do the cloud transcoding, and we know everybody's going to get it smooth. And that just opens up so much more potential because now you can confidently come out and say, this is going to work, and it's going to work great. And, you know, you've got Akamai behind the scenes pushing it out, and we know it's going to be stable. And just to be able to speak with that kind of authority now opens up so many doors and so many opportunities that brands were never willing to take chances on before. But now they're like, you know what, we've seen enough. Like, we're willing to do this. And especially with YouTube and Facebook, you know, at the forefront now, like it's opened up a lot of doors. So if you're in the live streaming business, this is an incredible time to be in business.
Well, let me dig into a couple of things that you just said and try to talk a little bit more in depth about them. So one is, you know, following your favorite artists throughout the show. And one of the features that I think YouTube, I've only seen really YouTube do, but you probably have more experience than I do, is that you can actually have a single event with up to 6 cameras attached to it. And this little button appears in the bottom right that is a camera button. And you can click that camera button and choose which camera you want to watch from the same event. And technically, those are each individual RTMP streams that you would be streaming to a single YouTube scheduled live event. It doesn't work on the beta live channel. It's just the scheduled live events. And then, you know, the user can actually click that button and switch between the two. I've done some testing with it. The only way to really, I mean, I guess there's a lot of ways to use it. Have you ever done that, or are you more talking about like individual streams and people going to different links or pages?
So in that particular case, I was talking about individual streams, and the reason being is a couple-fold. One, and this, you know, forgive me if I'm incorrect on this, but to my knowledge, YouTube only records your main camera. They don't record all the individual streams, even though you're sending to individual RTMP entry points.
They do
when you have multiple cameras.
Them. Yes, they do
record
them.
Okay.
And when because I've done it a couple times, and but when they're published unlisted.
Right.
And you can change that, I believe. But the cool thing is that when you watch a video on demand that had 4 or 5 different like cameras attached to it, there's even on the on-demand player, there's now this button that says switch. It's like a camera with two little arrows, and you can actually click it and look at the different, and it keeps you in sync with all the other cameras, which I thought was pretty cool.
Right. And does that work on mobile now? Because I know last time I was playing with it, it was only on desktop.
I haven't actually checked that out, but I have this one video that I posted. I was like, check this out, everybody. You can do this. And then that was it. That's kind of usually how I do things. I'm like, whoa, this is a great feature. I'm probably never going to use it again, but here's how it works. And a lot of people were commenting, hey, I'm not seeing this on my mobile. Hey, I'm not seeing this on my... So I don't think it works on mobile, no.
Yeah. That's probably just because of the iOS WebKit. It strips it out. It won't let you add overlays like that. But it is a cool feature. I mean, definitely for the right event. I mean, Coachella uses it. You know, they do that. You know, look at stage A versus stage B. The way that we've used it in the past is we actually, you know, when we have 5 cameras, we let you see every camera. And I'll say it's really cool, but it's a novelty. I mean, people don't want to be clicking through your cameras. They want you to direct the feed for them so that they can sit back and watch it. You know, when the features first came out, we thought that was going to be, you know, we even actually built an app that allowed you on your iPad to switch between all the cameras. And it works really well. It's just one of those things where most people don't, you know, they just want to be able to sit back and enjoy the show.
Yeah, it's a niche thing. Like I've come into it a couple times where companies want like the viewers aren't necessarily like your normal audience. It's more of like an engineer who might need to look at this camera, that camera, or this camera at any given time, like these specialty application stuff. But it's not your main meat and potatoes of what live streaming is. The other thing that you mentioned, I wanted to dig into, was the bit rates that you're using. You know, you were mentioning 1080p and 4 megabits per second, 5 megabits per second. Currently, when I was doing my research, Facebook wants 720p at like 2 megabits or maybe 4 megabits per second. And I found that it doesn't even like 4 megabits per second. You know, giving it lower megabits per second, like 1.5 or 2, it actually seems to be smoother. I was having some freezing issues at 4. Facebook is now doing 4K, 4K 60. What do you like? YouTube is now. Yeah, and what do you now? I'm guessing most of your streaming's in 1080. That's what we're streaming in now. I feel very comfortable in a 1080 stream, and this stream, just so the viewers know out there, is going out at 3 megabits per second, and that's been a really solid streaming rate for me. What do you normally do, and where do you see the quality? You know, between like let's say 3 megabits and like 5 or 6. Where do you like to be for a professional stream?
Generally, I mean, it really depends on what the transcoders are doing, because that's ultimately, you know, like what's the pass through? Are they passing through the top bit rate? So if you're sending 4 megabytes a second, is 4 megabytes getting through, or is that being transcoded as well? So those are kind of the questions that we want to answer first. But we're usually streaming in 720, because the difference at 720p versus 1080 at 3 megs, if they're both at 3 megs, is you'd never be able to tell. And so why put your CPU through all that extra hardship, you know, to process, you know, at a higher frame size when the difference is going to be negligible to the people who are watching. So we're generally at 720 when we're doing events, you know, internal events or events through Kastio at 3.5 megs a second, let's say. When we're doing events to Facebook, same thing, sort of 3.5 at 720p. When we're doing events to YouTube, bigger events, we usually go up to the full 1080 at like 5 or 6, because they just have crazy transcoders that work really, really well. So we kind of push the limit, but the reality, Paul, is that nobody's watching. I mean, who? You know, it's very rare that somebody's live streaming, you know, at your full 1080p signal at 6 megabytes a second. You know, so you kind of have to play to the audience, I guess, and play to the platform. But generally, we're at 720, 3.5 megs.
I mean, I've heard some people say that they'll try to upload recorded videos in 60 frames per second, and when YouTube does their compression crunching, that it looks better for whatever I don't know if you've heard that before.
I haven't, but it's interesting. Yeah.
I was having a couple of people said that they record everything in 1080p 60, and when they upload it, you know, just the compression and all the transcoding that they do ends up looking better. You know, some people say 1080p 60 is smoother for sports and things like that. It also doubles, you know, your processing. So I usually stay away from 60 for what we're doing. But let's get to a couple questions here. You know, Joey Barron is saying, you know, he's thinking about, for like football and sports, having the fans kind of be able to change around the different camera angles and choose them. That was one of the first things that I was thinking. And I do believe that in some of the higher end football stadiums, like in the skyboxes, there's like private like channels that you can kind of like, they actually can go ahead and look in the locker room and they can actually switch between. It's not a live streaming thing. It's more of like a professional, internal, I don't even know what you'd call it, just like channel broadcasting that's not even being streamed. It's just available internally in the football stadiums. Mm-hmm. But I think that functionality could be possibly coming out to the world. And I could see that being a little bit more than a novelty.
It's here. I mean, there's a company called New Line that does this, that has a lot of the big contracts, and they do that with UFC fighting. They do multi-camera, so it's definitely out there, and you have the ability in the app to switch between the stream. I just just me as a viewer, like I've just never. It's just a novelty. Like I've always just rested on the directed feed and then sat on that.
Yeah, no, I do too. And one of the things I've seen SpaceX do, Elon Musk company sends the rockets up to space and everything, and that was when I first started thinking about it, because what they do is they stream 2 streams to YouTube. One is a technical broadcast that's geared, because they know they've got 2 audiences. They've got their really, really techie guys that want to know all about the new things and the hurdles that they've overcome. And then they've got their like hosted layman broadcast that's more just like, hey, we're not going to bother you with all the tech specs. We're just going to tell you what the hell's going on. And I thought that was so super sweet. And we even do that here at PTZOptics. Now we don't have the manpower to host 2 separate shows at the same time. I don't think we ever would. But like, for example, when we do our weekly uploads, we do one back to the basics, where it's just like really basic information that like anyone would need to know. And then we do secret features every week. And it's because we know, like, it's almost 50-50. We've got brand new users and we've got super advanced people. And I think using the technology that way to kind of segment, like for things that have a really techie side and a really, if it's not just a concert, there's no like, here's the technical side of this concert.
Yeah, so, no, I absolutely agree. I think the way that SpaceX does it is right on the mark. And I think that's more important, Paul, is doing those 2 type of streams than should we go to Facebook and YouTube. That question, that decision has more value.
Yeah, and maybe you do your your layman's broadcast on Facebook in 720, and then you do your technical detailed one on YouTube where you can do 4K.
Right. Yeah, and what we're seeing now too is a lot of people doing a regular live stream and then doing a 360 live stream, and so you can switch between that one or the other on that.
That makes a lot of sense.
I'm seeing that more and more. Yeah.
Interesting. And let's dig into that just a little bit. We actually have some more questions. Prep Spin is telling us that he streams in 1080p 60 and it looks awesome. It looks a lot more realistic for sports.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
But let's dig into that 360 thing. That to me seems more like a novelty, although we've been to a lot of shows. Maybe it's like the 3D thing that was just a fad, but I think it's more than that. It does require you to wear goggles, correct?
Mm-hmm. Well, no, I mean, you can watch it on YouTube or Facebook the same way you watch, and you can use your mouse to move around, or you can use your phone and move it around your face with Google Cardboard on, so you don't have to have a headset.
Okay.
But I can tell you, having seen a lot of them live streamed, like the experience is not anywhere near a multi-camera live stream shoot. I was so hopeful for it. I thought it was going to be the next big thing. And maybe it will be. I don't know, once the resolution gets up and once they figure out better encoding methods. But right now it's more so just frustrating because you're at the mercy of where the production can put the camera, which usually is never not as close to the artist as you'd like it to be. Mm. And once you've kind of looked around once or twice, then you're over it. You want to see that nice, crisp, beautiful close-up shot of that person, and you're just not going to get that from the 360 camera. And frankly, like, I don't want to look at the audience. It's not really, and like the audience isn't lit. So now you have this huge disparity between the lighting on the stage and the lighting in the audience. Yeah. So it's a really cool novelty. I haven't seen it take off yet. I don't know that it will until headsets are ubiquitous and until they can get the resolution up. Until it's 8K and you can stream it in 8K, I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think it's cool. And if you're a huge event and it's cheap enough to throw a 360 up there and stream it as a secondary camera, why not, kind of? But even some of the produced 360 videos, it's just annoying to kind of watch, and you're just like, am I catching all the things that are in this view?
Yeah.
It's impossible to catch
Why
it
are you
all.
making me work? Yeah, it's such a lean back experience, and you're just kind of like, why are you making me have to look around? And like I said, it's a novelty thing, and maybe there's people out there who love them, and surely there are. But we've just found for us, in terms of our clients and doing them live, there's moments where it works really well. Like if you're in the cockpit of a race car, there's obviously something really cool about being able to look around. Like there's a lot of value there. But generally for most events, especially talking head events or events with PowerPoint or any kind of graphics on the screen, I just haven't seen it. I just don't know. It's gonna take a while.
Yeah, no, I think it's true, and that's one of the pitfalls I think with our industry in general is there's so much new stuff going on, and a lot of times it's like it could literally not be a big thing in 6 months. Is it a big thing? Are you missing out? Are you not missing out? It's just like there's so much going on all the time. It's like it's hard to sometimes hone in on. But the one thing that's I think tried and true, and we've both been talking about this, is just the high quality ability to just stream great events and produce a great broadcast. And I think we had a pretty engaging conversation just about doing the best you can, bringing the experience home, and not just home but anywhere and everywhere. It's just really,
and for the cost, Paul, I mean, like it blows my mind what you can do for under $10,000 now. That was never possible 5 years ago, and unheard of 7-10 years ago. You'd never even think about it, and now you can produce using vMix these incredible shows for a fraction of the cost and get it out in 1080 60p. It's just the power that's in all of our hands is incredible. It's exciting.
It's really fun. I think that for someone like you, who is you're basically the guy who puts it all together for your clients. You get really excited about it. You can offer more to your customers, so you're just kind of consistently offering more value. And your costs aren't really necessarily going up. It's really the cost is your time. You're just buying new toys all the time, like I am. You get to get the new Blackmagic Studio and the new i9 and everything. But some of that stuff, if you're really producing shows all the time, that's kind of just the cost of doing business. You need to have a lot of that stuff. So,
and it's an investment because it's paying itself off.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not just buying them for fun. We're buying them to use them, and basically our clients end up paying for them. So. That, and they want the best. I mean, that's why they're hiring us and not doing it themselves. So you have to always be investing in new technology. You have to always be pushing the game. And those i9s are going to allow you to do multi-camera 4K production and streaming all in one box. That's going to be pretty cool.
So if there's any last questions, everyone out there, let us know. I just got a couple extra things here. Joey's asking if a higher frame rate is important. He knows it's better for slow motion. That's more of a post-production thing. I think 60 frames per second, I really don't think you need it unless you're doing sports. Don't you think?
Sports and games. If you're streaming, if you're doing Twitch streaming and you want games, then you want 60 for sure. Yeah.
I mean, apparently there's like 120 coming out and things like that. But I think as far as I've seen, it's mainly 1080p 30 and 60. Kaleidoscope's agreeing with us here that a directed production is way better from a customer experience point of view, and also the on-demand. Joey's asking if the i9s are out yet. I think they were just announced. I don't think they're available.
Just announced, yeah, not yet. Soon though.
It's like the i12s will be out now, or 11s, but yeah, the i9 that is going to be.
It's like a 16 core too. They have a 16 core.
Oh
wild.
My God. That's going to be crazy. Now, do you know a lot about the X99s that came out?
The motherboard, like the chipset?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Apparently, it's got like so many lanes for like data to pass that it's.
the X299.
Yes.
The new one, the X299.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's exciting. Hopefully, they fixed the issues that the X99 was having. So we're getting really into the geek stuff here.
I know, and honestly, I'm getting a little bit beyond my depth, so I should probably, because I just hear about these things really more than I know about them. $299 perhaps has been insane. All right. Well, this is a really interesting conversation. I think we did. I think we did it well, Michael. You know, we wanted to start with just your experience, your knowledge, get to know who you are, and then it really did roll just like I thought into Kastio and the why and the how. So I think we did a really great job. I think I'm going to roll the credits.
Cool.
And thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for watching, everybody. Appreciate it.
And that's all, folks. We appreciate your participation in the chat room and can't wait to host our next informative Q&A session. Your questions drive the conversation forward for live streaming professionals around the world. Until next time, happy streaming!
Every time I do that, it drops the audio. Oh well. All right, I'm going to stop streaming.